tranquility.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Transcendence tier action between the Houston Inlaws and Volume 51. I am Light Rose, and joining us tonight for their first cast is Vexer474. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi there, I'm Vex. Like he said, this is my first cast, so I don't know anyone here. I don't know the teams that are playing, but I'm super excited to watch them play for my first time here.
Yeah.
Hey guys, how's it going? Creparian
It's
here.
obviously a
Today I
pleasure
want
to
to give you
have
guys
you here.
the extreme version of what you'll
To start off with
typically
the teams,
see
both of these teams
if you hear
actually
about
did
a
not
demon.
play in the preseason
Oh
tournament.
my god.
Houston Inlaws and
That's
Volume
a-
51.
that's a snap
Neither were
freeze,
present,
dude.
and
Look
really
at that.
only one of them
Double
has
juggler
any
Wrathweaver.
callback
Holy
to previous
crap.
ranked seasons. We've seen
Jajangman?
Melts
It's
is the Houston Inlaws.
Jajangman.
On either team is
Alright.
Melts.
Explain all plays.
But
This
starting on the
good,
record,
he bad,
Houston
me
Inlaws
level.
did take the
Level
win
good.
over
If
Venomous
opponents suck.
last week,
Opponents
3-1,
suck.
and Volume
Yep.
51 actually
How
took
much
a
suck?
0-4
Let's find
loss
out.
against Second Chance. Now, how does these kind of records feel for each team, and how can
Pretty
they bounce
suck.
back from them?
Well, I mean, obviously with the records that we've seen so far, it sounds like Houston's going to be taking the advantage over Volume 51. But obviously, like, we haven't seen a ton from them. If, Melt's the only
Super
player that
suck,
we've seen
actually.
before, so we haven't seen a ton from them. They could pull anything today.
He didn't even win. It just went straight
especially,
to
like,
forward. Not even with a triple.
With the new season of competitive almost starting, and hero pools coming out, people are starting to experiment with
Look
a
at
bunch of
this
different
shit,
comps.
dude.
So,
Oh my
we could
god.
see it shifting away from the meta as people start trying new things, and
That's
of course they could
literally
stick
unethical
with running the
RNG
same
right
thing,
there.
but we don't know what we're
Who I'm up
expecting
against?
today.
Max?
Yeah, these hero pools are definitely kind of shaking
I don't think
things
this
up.
guy's
It'll
gonna
be
do so
interesting to
well.
see if it-
Alright,
if
I have
and
a feeling
how
he's gonna
it's
be pretty
implemented
upset after this
into
round.
Tranquility.
Oh, I just got a triple. Okay,
So
maybe he
it's
has maybe
really
he has
the first map
card
that we're
that
going to
does
be going
something
on is Lijiang Tower.
I'm actually gonna do
We've
this.
seen Lijiang a lot recently, and it's available for a lot of different kind of meta play.
Wrecked.
What
Double
do you
wrecked.
kind of expect for Lijiang?
Well, obviously they could be running meta, but
damn, I just got
Lijiang
wrecked.
is actually one of those maps that people really like to run the sim on. Of course, you get the teleporter out, come out from spawn. Not only do you get there faster, but you can even set up plays. Going with the window.
Oh my god, I just lost.
On Lijiang, not gardens. Which one is the one?
Okay, I'll shut up now.
Night market, right?
Mhm,
So
that's
you can
one.
set up in the window.
guy's
There's
so
a
happy
night
it
market. You
disgusts
can get
me.
to the point a lot faster on Lijiang Gardens. So we could be seeing the sim coming out. Teams usually like to run the McCree with that. Of course, we could see May. Dive is very viable here, but
What?
obviously if you run the sim, then you can bunker on comp as well. So I'm thinking that we're gonna see some sim today, but obviously we're likely to see some May McCree as well.
Yeah, having that
Damn,
symmetry
Bran
will,
is
like,
pretty
get you to the
pog.
point so much
Do
quicker,
like
and
the
you're able
Void
to just
Lord a
kinda
lot though.
bunker down.
We gotta do
and
Void
have that
Lord.
point is so much easier.
Alright, dude.
Just kind of show
Alright.
it up.
Definitely. But of course, they could be running faster comps. Anything dive, anything with a Lucio. Obviously, most control maps
Oh
are
my
definitely,
God.
except for like the indoor ones, like the one Nepal map. Most of them do favor dive if you've got enough coordination with your team. Which, yeah, we could see it from these guys. Depends on
Okay.
what their specialties are.
Peace out, Daryl.
We're having a little bit of delays, only 51 members showing up, so we gotta talk about stuff to fill the time because this is the job of the casters. So.
Okay, so what do you think about the hero pools, and if this is coming to Tranquility, how do you think it'll affect the different tiers?
It's definitely gonna have to be a lot more varied. I mean, you talk about what recently just got banned. We saw that Widowmaker McCree, that's hit scan almost taken out entirely.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta bench somebody for a week, and that's, if you're only running 6 people, that's just, it really kind of makes it that person non-viable, and you gotta, take them. It's something.
Definitely, yeah. I didn't even really think about that. Is that if you're running like a small roster and somebody's hero pool doesn't work out with the hero pools, then they're either getting benched or they're gonna have to expand. Looks like we're heading into the game now. I'm excited.
Yeah, it requires so much more variation in hero play, and those people who really, I don't want to say one trick, but are more specialized. We see Red Gear the Reaper specialist. Is definitely something that you got to take an advantage when picking up people and dropping people and so on and so forth.
Definitely, definitely.
17 seconds here. We're finally going to get in. Nikolai 39B. That 39B is really essential.
Yeah, there were 38 other Nikolais, and he had to make sure that we knew which one. And the 39A, apparently.
Yeah, he's the second variation of the 39th clone. That's how it works. Obviously, gotta have the ID number.
What are we looking at the comps here? Looks like both teams are running the Lucio. We're seeing the Winston Diva coming out from Volume 51, and we're seeing the Ryan Diva coming out from Houston Inlaws. What do you think about these comps?
Well, obviously, you got to have the Ana Lucio. That's really the kind of comp right now. If you're not running the Moya, you're obviously running the Ana. But having the more divey comp with the Ana Lucio is going to allow Volume 51 to get a little more damage in, damage out, but they're going to bring out that Pharmacy instead of the Lucio. So it seems that, Kaching's going to have that beat drop just to negate really so much damage that's going to come in from Volume 51. And right now, they're just going to go in, and there go. It's Johnny actually almost gets booped off as Cav is just going to try to take the point. It seems that Volume 51 is just going to try to put the chokehold right under the point. As right now, it seems that Houston Inlaws just have it right now, but Ooh is able to take out Ezekiel, and they're just going to have so much damage centralized in one area with that Mei and that Reinhardt. And here we go. Is that Ezekiel's just going to try to contest the point as Ooh is going to get anti, but going to get healed right back up. Kaching and Ooh's the only one, but Mustard Man actually finds two and is able to bring back that point in Volume 51's favor. Right now,
really interesting. Like, they're running the Pharmacy, and it doesn't look like Houston Inlaws really have an answer to this. Of course, they're running the McCree and the Ana, but they're kind of getting distracted, and if they're not able to take out the Pharmacy, it just means that they're investing their resources into other things. I think they need to settle out a plan for either moving on to the team fast or dealing with the Pharmacy before they get in there.
We saw the point really kind of go in their favor, but immediately get flipped just by not focusing down Mustard Man, as he was able to get so much damage in an area, and he's got that barrage. You take out the Diva here, and we're gonna see the Pulse Bomb come out, not gonna find anything, but here's so many ults coming out. Cav able to take out Mustard Man, but the ults from the side of Volume 51 are just gonna be a little bit too much for the Houston Inlaws, as right now it seems that Volume 51 is just gonna keep the point for now.
Yeah, definitely a lot of ults coming out, but I mean, we still have more on board. Volume 51 still has 3 different ults. Looks like we're seeing the Diva Bomb come out just for a remake. The wall comes up, it doesn't get anyone. They're going to have Primal and Valk this fight. They can still sustain this. Cav's already dead. I think their Volume 51 is going to keep this point, even though they used a bunch of ults last fight.
I was just about to talk about how they're actually keeping this fight up. But with Ooh able to take out the Pharmacy, right now it just seems actually viable that they might win this, as Toro and Suinshot are the only people able to contest the point.
They do have the Primal out though, so they're going to have a pretty long stall.
Yeah, but that's ending. You've got your ulting Mercy, but right now you're going to have that Diva Pharah backup. And as Suinshot is going to be res, Kaching is going to be able to negate a bunch of damage with that beat drop. It seems that the ults are going to have to come out for Houston Inlaws to take this point back. Right there. A barrage is brought out and is going to be negated, but a trade is brought out by Milton Suinshot. Mr. Musterman is going to be claimed by It's Johnny, but the Pulse Bomb by Ezekiel brought out by It's Johnny. And right there, it seems the Houston Inlaws, hopefully with enough sustain, are able to flip the point in their favor. Just not yet, as Turo does find Pika, and they've just got so many bodies to throw on the point.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing the tanks from both sides do a lot of work here. Houston Inlaws managing to take the point back, I think, because of both of their tanks. It's Johnny DMing the barrage, and then Cav getting, I think, a 2 or 3 person shatter. Both tanks on, both teams are doing a lot of work here. Being able to keep the point from Volume 51 and being able to take the point with the Houston Inlaws. We have the Nano coming in from both sides here. Not many other ults online. We're going to see the Pulse Bomb soon. But it really just comes down to who uses the Nano better here. Let's see how this goes down.
And the Nano is thrown out by Nikolai, just trying to take care of that support in the back. As a dueling Nano is brought onto the Lucio, a Boostio, and Toru finds U, but Kaching is going to able to throw Suin Shot off the deep end. As that hammer down is just not going to be able to find anything from Cav, and he's just going to swing his shield trying to survive, but not for long, as Mr. Mustard Man is able to find him, and he's just going to have to back off. And right now, Volume 51 with 99, Houston Inlaws are just going to do their best to bring this out and possibly bring this back, as the bomb is thrown out. Going to try to get something, but nothing for Ishjani. A remake, and immediately T-mech by Mr. Mustard Man. Let a bit of a get off our point. Oh. And right now, here comes the Dragon Blade, and Melts is able to find the Mercy. That is a big pick, but immediately able to be brought down by Suin Shot. And a bunch of trades coming out as Truer and Kaching are both brought out, but Ezekiel is able to find the ult onto Cav. It's Johnny, claims Mr. Mustard Man. As right now, Ezekiel is really the only one left on point, as Pika is somehow goes off the deep end. I don't know exactly what happened there.
I think he faded off the map. Interesting plays coming out from Pika. But
Yeah.
it looks like his team isn't going to be able to take it back, unfortunately. They're just coming out with, like, the really short stalls. They're touching point as much as they can, but, I mean, it could be recoverable.
Definitely, the longer you stay alive, the longer it's more available, but True finds Cav. And the Nano Doomfist. I see how much longer Houston Inlaws can survive the sustain. Ezekiel does throw out the Pulse Bomb. Not going to be able to find anything, but as Pika's taken out, Ooze getting very close to death, and it's Johnny Slept. It's not looking like Houston Inlaws are going to bring this back.
I think what we saw there is that, like I said, the tanks on both sides were doing a lot of work, but I think it really comes down to the supports, which is why, you know, it came out to which teams could sustain longer. I mean, we saw Tour in the Ana, and he was getting a lot of free reign. He wasn't really being contested by the enemy diva at all. But, of course, we saw Nikolai contesting the supports as much as he could. He got a couple bombs in there and some really key DMs. So I think, even though both tanks were on both sides were playing pretty well, I think it really came down to contesting of the supports and to how long both teams could sustain.
Yeah, Tour was just able to bring so much healing. I did not really have anybody contest him. We saw he was a lot of times that he was the last one alive in a fight. And that's something you really don't want if you want to win fights. Mr. Mustard Man gonna charge up the shots, and he's just gonna get taken out. A big Maywall coming out from Melts. Right now, 5v6 with the control point is gonna unlock in about 10 seconds. We're seeing Houston Inlaws immediately onto that. As a big charge come out from Suin Shot. Not exactly gonna find anything, as he's gonna get flashed and immediately taken out. It seems that right now, that Volume 51 is just going for the tactical reset.
Yeah, so those aggressive plays there with, like, the Doomfist going in or the Rhine charging in, those can work, but the team needs to follow up. If one person goes in, they're going to die. You need to have the Zarya bubble on one of those people, or you need to have the team following up with them to be able to make those aggressive plays. I like the aggressive plays, but the team needs to be following up. There might be a lack of communication here. Let's see if they continue to do it.
And actually a really key Maywall as it cuts off the support. But there we see Volume 51 really not able to capitalize on that. As Cav finds a Shadow that is able to claim both tanks. As right there, the DPS are taken out by Pika and U. And probably ill-advised Nano used there. But they are able to find Cav, as they're going to be able to isolate him. And right now, it seems that while Volume 51 did lose the fight, they're not sure. And they're just going to immediately attack this, take advantage of the death of Cav while they can.
Well, they do have the main tank down, so, I mean, Volume 51 could take this back. They got the beat out. There's a huge ante, though. It's really anyone's game at this point.
Right now, we're actually going to see Mr. Mustard Man being slept in the back line, as we're going to find one frozen, two frozen. Bidhead going to be forced to use that sound barrier, as Cav is going to get actually grabbed in the back line. We're seeing a bunch of these micro battles, as Tour is just going to be able to rain some support in the back, as Nikolai and Pinhead are just the only ones alive on the point.
Yeah, I think taking a not fully together fight there when they were at 70% was not a great thing for Volume 51 to do. And it seems that they're likely going to lose this map because of it. They were investing a lot into fights that just weren't really in their favor. And it looks like this map is probably going to Houston Inlaws.
They are able to claim Cav, but Cav is probably going to be back before this fight gets close to its climax. You know, Suin Shot going to be close, and Melts the May will not really going to be able to find anything, but this Diva Bomb wants to claim some lives, but it is not going to do anything of the sort, as we are going to see Ezekiel being nanoed. He does have that Death Blossom, but that Death Blossom is going to get immediately damned, not going to be able to do anything. And the Shatter being brought up, he is going to be able to find Suin Shot, but to be closely defeated by Nikolai.
And they do manage to take the point back, and they have a couple ults coming online for Volume 51. They have the Grab soon and the Doomfist ult. We call this Space Jam where I come from. I'm excited to see how they use this ult combo. Although Houston Inlaws does have the beat, it really comes down to how both teams play these combos.
Right now, with the absence of a May, they're able to just go forward, but that sound barrier is just going to be able to immediately gate the Shatter. And so many ults coming out from both sides, as the Doom ult is able to claim Pika, but melts Friesen and headshot Ezekiel. And it seems that Volume 51 is just able to claim a little bit more kills than Inlaws, allowing them to win this fight.
Yeah, so Mr. Mustardman can do a lot more work there in the really chaotic fights. If the teams are like facing head-on to each other, and the Doomfist just goes in, he's probably going to die. But in those chaotic fights where everyone's all over the place, he can get a lot more done.
You know, when you're not done focusing the Doomfist, he's just able to at least claim one. And right now, that grab is just going to be so deadly. And it's going to claim the lives of 4 members of the Houston Inlaws, and is 62%.
Really well done by Nikolai. They didn't even actually need the Doomfist combo. I think they landed a good nade in that grab, and they weren't able to eat either the grab or the nade, and I think they just wiped the fight with them.
Right now, they're doing a really good job of keeping them up front. But Kaching is going to be able to claim Mustard Man's lives. Right now, they're just keeping Houston Inlaws right at the door, not allowing them to go forward. And that's really giving time for the Ooh to return. Or excuse me, Mr. Mustard Man. But right now, Cav takes out Ezekiel, but immediately countered by a Shatter from Cav, which is going to do wonders for the Houston Inlaws, hopefully flipping them about 99% and allowing them to take this round.
Definitely. Again, we're seeing huge plays coming out from the tanks. The Diva Bomb in the back line to distract. We saw Nikolai running in the back to bubble it, which means that the bubble wasn't there for the Reinhardt. So as soon as his shield goes down, his team gets shattered.
Yeah, we did try to see Ezekiel contest for as much as they could, but not really going to do much when you got a May, a Diva, and a McCree trying to...
and the high noon on point. It was just, you know, little efforts at the end to contest, get as much, you know, much time as they can, but unfortunately it didn't work out.
Yeah, but we did see a little bit equal. We saw that 99-99 compared to what that first round was.
We did. It was definitely a lot closer than I thought. I mean, we saw it. It was like 90% or 80% to 0. I thought the match was over then, but Volume 51 managed to bring it back, and they got it all the way to 99-99. It was very impressive by them.
Mm-hmm. And we sometimes do see a Symmetra on this point, but it seems that we're not going to see that. We're going to see the ball actually, really, in this meta with a May on the opposite team.
Interesting.
Possible, but they're just going to stick with it. And right now we're seeing Houston Inlaws just immediately get on this point. Cav just going to anchor his team for there. And the Wrecking Ball not going to try to do something, but not exactly much. You got that May, you got that McCree. He's going to get CC'd all the way down to hell. And gonna try to get something, but no boops off the map today. As Ooh is gonna get so close to death, no damage is gonna go in his direction. Cav is gonna be able to find a charge on Nikolai. As you're gonna get frozen, you're gonna get Maywalled. You're just not gonna do anything, and it'll be interesting to see if they keep with it. But Ooh is able to find Mr. Mustardman, who's gonna be immediately res. And you gotta back off here if you're Volume 51.
I think so. Yeah, they need to go for a reset. And playing this ball Winston comp, they're very much not diving together most of the time, and we can see they're like shooting different targets. It seems to be working out this fight, which is really interesting. I think their DPS are just managing to get some really good picks here. But when you're running like these dive comps, we want to see the tanks diving together. The first fight, they were diving like almost opposite times to each other. I think that's why they lost the first fight. It was closer the second fight, and their DPS were landing some good shots, which let them take the point there.
Yeah, that was a little bit of Caster's curse right there. We start talking about how they need to improve, and Volume 51 just immediately
and they just take the point.
Yeah. I mean, Turu's anti-nades have been absolutely key, especially in taking that one. They were able to take out the Ana, take out the McCree, but right now, it's Johnny's going to get mech, but that's not really where the fight's happening, as a little bit of trades happening. Turu and Ezekiel both out of the fight, as right now, the Houston Inlaws just need to work on getting that point back in their favor. They are able to claim some lives, but as Melts is going to solo cap this point, he is going to get contested. Right now, we're seeing the rest of the Houston Inlaws come back and try to take this point in their favor. Right there. It seems that Houston Inlaws do take the point, even though Ezekiel's able to find mounts. But right there, it's Johnny and U able to take the points in their favor. But Kaching actually commits to the sound barrier, even though it seemed that they did have the necessary picks to win the fight. Mr. Mustard Man gonna bring out the barrage, and he got immediately res. But it's an interesting use of the ultimates for each team, as probably almost none will probably needed that fight for either team.
We saw a ton of ultimates coming out from both sides. Volume 51 unfortunately lost that fight with the huge amount that they invested, even going for a res after the fight was already done. It seems to be there's a little bit of a lack of coordination over when they're making certain plays. They definitely have some plans in mind, but there's... Oh, and Nikolai gets picked early. I didn't even see that happen.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what, you know, if you run ball against the Mei, it's bound to happen at some point.
Yeah, it counters that flanking Wrecking Ball so hard. Usually it's why you don't run it with a Mei or a Sombra, but I don't know, Nikolai's just sticking to that. As a bomb thrown out!
I think he was going for the pharmacy.
He tried. We'll give him that. Not able to find anything. That's right there. The Houston Inlaws are just able to find 3. But Melts is going to bring out that Blizzard, going to be trying to counteract something. As not going to go to 99 for the Houston Inlaws. It's now do or die for Volume 51, as it seems that they're going to be able to find the necessary amount of elims to flip the point.
Definitely. And again, it really comes out to trading ults here. I mean, Volume 51 should have the advantage here, running the pharmacy against... Well, I guess Houston Inlaws are swapping it up now, going with the Tracer McCree. But, you know, before they, you know, they definitely should have had the advantage running. They didn't have any hit scan before. So this should be easier for Volume 51 to hold. It looks like they're coming out with the Barrage and the Nano, and this will probably be a held point for them, at least for now.
Yeah, that's so much damage coming from one area, like right there. Houston Inlaws just does not have the time to react. I mean, they did get the Sleeping Yan, but by then 2 lives were already claimed.
We're seeing the Valk come online for Volume 51 this fight, although we are seeing a Shatter and a Nano from Houston Inlaws. If they can land a good Shatter Nano, although it's going to be hard against a divey comp, but if they can land a good Shatter and get a Nano off, then this could definitely be one for Houston Inlaws. It's really anybody's game.
And the Inlaws are going to take that coast, but Nikolai takes out Pika. That's an absolutely massive pick, as Kaching is also taken off the edge. Nikolai finding so much in this last fight, and it seems that it's key for his team just to take this map. And right there, it seems that the Houston Inlaws just did not have a chance to react to the Wrecking Ball.
The Wrecking Ball, I mean, he came in with the minefield at the end. It prevented them from getting inside, and even though on the Tracer did manage to get 2 picks, it wasn't enough for his team. After they swapped off the Mei, they really didn't have an answer to the ball at the end there. They were looking for a way to get in, but with the minefield and the boops, they just didn't have a response.
And we talked about how you usually don't run the Wrecking Ball with the Mei, and it worked out perfectly for them in the end. So
apparently, yeah. Well, after they did swap off the Mei, it did become a much more viable pick. I mean, really, his only thing that he has to watch out for is the McCree flashbang. But you know, obviously, it's a very short stun, and it has kind of a long cooldown as opposed to Mei's primary fire. So once they swapped off the Mei, the ball Pharaoh Winston was a much stronger combo.
Yeah. So we are going to see Volume 51 take that, a very, very close map. You know, I believe Houston Inlaws did take the first one, so a little bit of a beat reverse sweep in the miniature scale from Volume 51, but that's feeling very good after you had a decisive 4-0 loss, and, you know, coming up against the Houston Outlaws, who had a very strong 3-1 win. Feels good.
Definitely, yeah. Volume 51 are looking pretty good here. I mean, really, the only outstanding mistakes that they were making is when there was a miscommunication of aggression, and sometimes the Doomfist would go a little too aggressive, or the Zarya would be separated from the team. These sorts of things. It's all good. So these sorts of things are, the things that costed them certain fights, certain maps. But I mean, they came back from it. They sorted things out. They figured out what was going wrong, and they're looking pretty good now, to be honest.
Yeah, it's definitely, very good to see over the course of a map how much you can change and how much you can adapt, and that's really what can take a team to the end. Thinking quick on the fly, having a good IGL, and just it can take you to the end. And week 2, we're already seeing this in Volume 51.
Definitely. Now, we saw some interesting hero choices. So we didn't actually see any Symmetra, although Symmetra is pretty popular on Lijiang. We didn't see any Symmetra. We did see some Ball, and we even saw some Tracer, who is seeing more playtime now, although most people would not consider her meta. What do you think about these Ball and Tracer picks coming out?
If you can play these heroes well, like you can play them to the end of the earth. A good Tracer and a good Wrecking Ball can be an absolute nightmare. Like, have you seen some of the very good Tracers against an unprepared team? It's a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't really seen something of that come up yet, and I'm expecting it to, somewhat in the recent time, but I'm excited to see if somebody can take these non-meta heroes and make them into the meta.
Definitely, yeah. Especially like we said before, as we're going into having games with these hero pools, we're hopefully going to be seeing a lot more variation in different comps, rather than, and even right now, really, even though we do have a sort of specific meta, people are playing a lot more, at least, compared to when we were running goats, where it was pretty much you only ran goats, except for maybe, triple DPS every now and again. Or, even in the double shield metas, you really didn't see anything outside of double shield. But even though we do have like a specific meta now, a specific 6 heroes, we do see people playing a lot wider variety of things, from, dive to even double main tank every now and again. But as we go into hero pools, we should be seeing even more variety. So I definitely like seeing these teams pull out these different heroes, from the Ball to the Tracer. We saw a bit of Widow, although she is seeing quite a lot of playtime. We didn't see a ton of Mei, which is a bit refreshing, to be honest.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure to, watch some Overwatch, see these different varieties of comps, and see how these wonderful teams can play them.
Definitely.
Alright, but we're waiting from now for some Houston Inlaws. We got some members on the other side. With all, there's got to be some balance, of course, as Thanos does say.
Yes, the universe must be balanced, as all things should be. Something like that. I didn't actually watch the movie.
I'm sorry.
I didn't watch it. I apologize to anyone watching. Uncultured swine, as they might say.
Infinity War is a charm of a movie, and the memes are beautiful.
I have seen a lot of memes, but I haven't watched it myself, so I understand like the references, but...
Alright, as a long-tenured member of the Twitch team, I'm giving you homework. And that is to watch Infinity War.
My homework is watching Infinity War.
Yes.
I will...
Right.
I'll try my best. Are you grading? Do I have to write a report?
A 3-page essay
Oh.
Why Thanos was right.
What did I sign myself up for?
Yes, alright. That was... Juke did not prepare you.
No, I was not prepared. I did not expect to be coming in for homework. I mean, I go to school all day, come to Overwatch for a break from school and a break from homework, and now I gotta assign more homework.
I'm the teacher now.
My new professor.
Oh, yes. But we're still waiting some here, Have you watched any Overwatch League recently, Vexer?
I have been watching a decent amount of Overwatch League, actually. I usually miss like 1 or 2 games whenever they're like each weekend or something, but I have seen most of them recently. What about you?
I am a Houston Outlaws fan.
Oh, really?
It's very good to have them actually win over.
Yeah. Well, it's actually kind of funny because I'm a Toronto Defiant fan, so.
Oh, wow.
it's a little bit unfortunate. I mean, it was like, it wasn't a steamroll. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, we did win, so.
You did, yes.
Woo!
Congrats. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I think we're just running logics too much. I think if they keep Sherfer on the field, I think we're gonna see a lot better results. But maybe that's just me. I don't know.
But I think I was one of the people that really spammed specs with memes. If you haven't done that, by the way, it's amazing.
I have not.
Spam that man with memes about how the Outlaws won a single match. All right.
I'll have to do that. It's a second in the homework list now.
Oh yeah. I'm just setting you up right here. You thought you would have free time? No.
It's a homework on top of homework. Homework for my hobbies.
Yeah. I mean, at least it's fun homework, am I right?
Yeah, I suppose,
fun teacher.
Well, so, like, watching a movie is on the better side of homework. Writing an essay about it is not on the better side of homework.
That's true. The teacher pulls out the TV, says, all right, kids, we're going to watch a movie. I'm going to pat, you got your excitement level at 1,000, and then the teacher says, all right, here's the sheets you got to fill out.
Yeah, while you're watching the movie. Did your teachers ever have, like, those big wheelie carts with, like, huge TVs on top?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, memories. All right, rolling into Hanamura here. Probably going to be seeing some meta comps. Mei is really, really strong, especially on the first point. Although I have been seeing people play more Junkrat lately, but probably when he's seeing some Mei, we might even see some Pharah coming out. She's also pretty good. Likely to see at least a little bit of Sim from one of the teams when they're on attack. What do you think about the... so we can see the comps now. What do you think about the comps that they're rolling out with?
Seeing the Symmetra on Hanamura really isn't all that new. She's really, really good for teleporting straight onto the point, straight on the top left. It's just really, really advantageous. And keeping her is definitely an asset you gotta have in your pocket, having a good Symmetra player. And she just deals so much damage, and she's gotta kill. You gotta kill her immediately.
Now, once she gets charged up, she can absolutely melt through. I mean, even tanks, especially when you're running against the D.Va. So, running the sim on attack here, it really just depends on how they respond to the TP.
All right.
Looks like we're having some player trouble, possibly technical difficulties.
Yes. They're asking for a player swap. They asked for a player swap before they were ready. Right now, it's a little bit of difficulties, but
that's okay. The show must go on.
Of course. Yeah, but these teams just gotta manage. Sometimes there's some technical difficulties, but they just gotta forward is it's Johnny's gonna be able to get frozen and is gonna get team mech, but Cav gonna find two with the charge. You don't see that very often, let alone one. But right now, the Houston Inlaws, as they are gonna be a little bit of a 4v4 here, Cav's just gonna try to survive as much as they can from freezing. But it seems that Houston Inlaws just trying to survive so much as they can to take this point. Try to defend this point as much as they can.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the Sim TP come out on top, and of course, like I said, it comes down to how they respond to the Sim TP. But it seems like they didn't really have a response to it.
The Pulse Bomb comes out, not exactly going to do wonders. But, Tracer's ult is a little bit like a cooldown, that's why they call that.
Yeah, definitely. It's a bit of a throwaway ult. We are seeing ults coming online from both sides. We have the Baptiste ult coming out soon. Some of the supports are being traded out right now. Again, it could be anybody's game.
But right now, Volume 51 is just trying to find their way onto this point, as they are going to be able to claim some lives, but the tanks are just going to try to bounce back immediately and keep them off this point. But they're just going to find their lives swiftly ended, as it seems that the numbers for Volume 51 are just going to get really, really low.
And they have a bunch of ults coming up online, so even if Houston Inlaws come back to defend this, they're going to have enough ults to keep it. I think this is a 1 first point for Volume 51. It's just really getting the stragglers as they try and get as much time as they can. Although we are seeing both support ults coming out.
Yeah, it's Johnny gonna try to nano just to survive, but as Suin's shot brings out the shatter, only it's Johnny's gonna be shatter as Pinhead brings out the sound barrier. And right now, Ezekiel swiftly ended by ooh, but the shatter is gonna bring Suin shot doomed to his knees. As really only that Reinhardt remains, keeping the Volume 51 from going to the next point.
They do still manage to take it back. Now, we did see a really good Blizzard out coming out from I Love Mom. It was really good. It got 2 people, but we saw the Shatter coming back from Shuin Shot, and they managed to keep it, which we kind of figured they were taking first point. It did take them a bunch of ults, so they're probably not going to steamroll, although they do have the Sim Wall and the May ult, so it is possible. Probably not going to steamroll here. But yeah, let's see how they come into this fight on second point.
Yeah, that Sim Wall is really a big ult that you have in your pocket, able to just block so much damage from one direction. Well, Cav doesn't exactly have their ult. It's such a deterrent, as they're just going to teleport right up to the top, go immediately onto the point, trying to get as much early damage as they can. As Cav going to charge on and try to get something. Not really going to be able to find anything. But Nikolai is going to get the mech. That's a big asset taken out, as here comes the Blizzard, and really only going to be able to find Kaching. But Kaching's healing taken down. A big asset, as right now we're seeing 3 come out for Volume 51, and they take the first tick, as so much time remains for them to get the rest.
So yeah, I mean, with the Sim TP up top, they have Tura sitting on top, except for the Diva Bomb. It doesn't quite catch him though, but it looks like Tura pretty much gets as much free space as he wants this fight. Although it looks like Houston Inlaws is actually taking this back, coming out with the kills while Tura was distracted. But they did manage to get a tick and a half out of that because they have the Sim TP up top. You could just sit the Ana on top, and she didn't really have a contest because the Diva was like it's Johnny was doing something else, I guess. So he wasn't contesting the Ana. They got a tick and a half from it. Although they are switching off the Sim now, which is to be expected. Ezekiel now on the McCree. They're still running the May. So it looks like we're seeing almost meta coming out from both sides, except for Ooh on the Tracer with the Pulse Bomb. Shatter coming out from both sides soon. See how this goes down.
Yeah, but the May wall from the I Love Mom is just going to be so big, and the May wall from the other side is going to be big and stopping, but it's really not going to stop Ooh and Cav from doing what they want, and that is killing the members of Volume 51. They're going to be able to succeed that, and that's just going to force Volume 51 to back off from this fight.
We did see a couple ults coming out from Houston Inlaws. We saw the Shatter, we saw the Nano. They did manage to keep it, and both sides are going to have the May ult this fight. So this one probably comes down to who gets a better freeze and also who can capitalize on it. We've seen a couple times that one team will get a good freeze or a good Blizzard, but then their team isn't there to capitalize. So it really comes down to who's going to get a better Blizzard here and who's ready to capitalize.
Yeah, and both Kaching and Pinhead do have their sound barrier, so able to negate each other's Blizzard is definitely something you want to have. But right now, we're seeing Mr. Musterman bring out that Blizzard, and there's the beat drop coming out. And there's the other Blizzard and the other beat drop. You know, it's just trading of ultimates, but Ezekiel's able to take out Cav. That's your main tank gone, and it's a big part gone as Ezekiel is able to punch Ooh right in the face, but it's Johnny is able to bring that down to, right now, around a 5v2. As a bomb is coming to the point, and he's able to find Mr. Musterman. But taking out Mr. Musterman from this fight, it takes a big part out, as that freeze is going to be gone, and the respawns are just going to be so big here for Houston Inlaws, you know. It's just really about negating this so much, getting as much as you can, but right there, we're seeing a lot taken out, and I don't know if Volume 51 can get back from this fight.
Looks like they can. What I'm seeing a lot of here is when Tura goes uncontested on the Ana, they obviously have a lot more sustain, but he can also pump out decent damage. We saw him getting nanos coming out, so even though they lost their May early, Volume 51 was able to take that point just because they had the Ana sitting off on the side uncontested. So I think it really comes down to what they're doing about this Ana and if they can contest him at all or stop him. Like, they don't even necessarily have to kill them, but if they can stop him from having such a big impact on the fight when he's just sitting off on the sidelines or the high ground, then I think a lot more of these fights will go in favor of the Houston Inlaws.
Yeah, it's just shutting down those sight lines, keeping pressure is just such a big part. You know, especially a little bit of that off-tank role, a little bit of that main tank role, making space for your team, putting pressure on the enemy team, and it's just a little bit not in Volume 51. I mean, a little bit of leeway on both sides, both of them, but it seems that right now that Houston Inlaws aren't exactly keeping Tura from doing their job.
Definitely. So it looks like both sides are running meta here. We're not going to see the sim on attack again, most likely. So, of course, you know, when you're running mirror comps, it really just comes down to communication, some positioning things, and who manages their ults better, because there's no difference in, you know, hero abilities or stuff, so it just comes down to managing certain things.
Right now, we are going to see this time out. 46 seconds is the time to be definitely achievable for the Houston Inlaws. And they are going to be bringing out that Mei, you know, we've seen from time to time. But interestingly, on the side of Volume 51, we are seeing that Brigitte, which we don't see much, but Mr. Mustardman taken out immediately. That's your wall, that's your freeze gone. And with that leeway, it's going to be very easy for the Houston Inlaws to take this point. All they need to do is just make that final push. Right now, as Nikolai is going to get pressured on that Cav, it's just going to be, right now, he's actually going to be alone. And that's going to be a little bit of a mistake. He's going to get taken out. Hopefully the respawns are going to be in that favor. But as Oo's taken out, your Reinhardt and your McCree are gone. This is definitely giving Volume 51 the leeway they need to counteract this push.
Yeah, Houston Inlaws definitely can push in here. Of course, there are people and the respawns are longer for Volume 51, but of course, Touru is still on point, doing a bunch of work on the Ana, just sitting on the back. The Lucio went to contest him, but just dies to a punch in the face. There's just so much value coming out from the Ana on the back of the point here.
Yeah, that Blizzard is going to be able to freeze too, but Suin shots Nano and the rally from Pinhead are just going to be able to stain Volume 51 so much, give him so much health and armor. That really not enough damage coming out from the side of Houston Inlaws.
So we're seeing ults coming online from both sides here. Cav is coming out with the Shatter. We're going to have the Nano again. And no defensive ult on the side of Volume 51 because they are opting to run the Brigitte, although they did just pick Ooh on the Tracer. Probably a little bit out of position there, mismanaging the recall, but it happens, it happens. So it really depends, you know, they could push here. We have ults on both sides. It just comes down, like, it's going to be a chaotic fight next fight. They're probably going to be looking to take it here. They don't want a dry fight. So I'm interested to see how the shatters come out from both sides.
And Suin shot's going to be blocked from going back, and a little bit of the top rope coming down on Suin's shot, but both of that Reinhardts are going to be traded as a Nano comes out on I Love Mom. And just a bunch of ults as Ooh takes out Ezekiel and Pinheaded out. But Mustardman able to claim the Mei as Nikolai is just about to get made. Pika is unimaginably low as he's finally able to take it out. But Mustardman's reign is finally taken to an end as he's taken out by It's Johnny. And there we see Houston Inlaws hopefully take this point, as right now we're seeing Suin shot back off to the second point, giving the Houston Inlaws their first point.
Yeah, I'm managing to take this over. Mr. Mustardman actually came out with the 3K on the man. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. His supports were down. He just didn't have the sustain. Ooh on the Tracer now is starting to contest Touru a lot. He's finding him in the backline. He's taking his attention and sometimes even killing him. And honestly, I think that's what's winning them these fights.
Yeah, as soon as you talk about that, Ooh switches off to the McCree. You know, gives you a little bit more sustain, but you do take away that pressure onto Tour in the backline, who does have that Nano. Suin shot's got that broad Shatter. There's so many ults on the side of Volume 51. That's going to be really hard for them to actually lose this fight. But Ezekiel finds Kaching, and the Blizzard is really going to find two, which is exactly what they need to win this fight.
You see a lot of ults coming out here. We saw the Shatter, the High Noon, the Blizzard. So many things happening at once. If I'm being honest, I think there's not a lot of ult planning going on. I mean, it could be possible that they're just planning on using a bunch of things at the same time, but it seems like people are using ults as they're convenient. Although the Shatter High Noon is definitely a combo that we see. Houston Inlaws coming for the attack now. They're not on the high ground, but they are contesting the point.
And right there, a big barrage able to climb Suin shot. As Suin shot's just going to really charge on in. And some mistakes on the side of Houston Inlaws charging. And all three going to be frozen. Was all taken out at once. As only a couple percent. And
wow.
Right there, that's one for the VODs right there.
That really good plays from It's Johnny. They plan to run into the point really fast. They know they're all sitting up high ground. He throws the bomb on point, and the Reinhardt, not being with his team up high ground, tries to charge back to point, which is what got him killed. It's Johnny gets the nano. He goes up high ground, contests the McCree and the Ana, and his team just cleans up whoever is trying to contest point. I think it was like the May, and I think they were on Baptiste. And, obviously, it just wasn't enough to fight 2v5. So really good plays coming out from It's Johnny there.
And It's Johnny, coming on in this point. At 3 minutes to 1 minute, it's definitely achievable, but it's so much of a difference, We saw the Volume 51 take that first point a lot faster than Houston Inlaws, so that's definitely going to give them advantage in this situation, but it seems like they're keeping that Symmetra, but they're going to bring out that Baptiste, which I do not remember if they actually had in their first push. But it's
I think they were running on their first push. So they're opting for the Baptiste now. Of course, the Immortality field can be really valuable, especially if somebody gets walled off. Both teams running the May, so the Immortality can be really good if you're just TPing to point. You don't have a long distance to travel, so you can keep the Baptiste close. And it really just comes down to how Houston Inlaws responds to this TP again. This is the defining factor of Hanamura A.
And they're just going to go on that top. Oh, and It's Johnny is just going to get immediately frozen. And a big wall comes out from I Love Mom, is able to stop that charge onto the Diva. But Cav, that's probably going to be a charge you're going to want to regret. But Ooh is able to find Ezekiel. And right there, we thought that Cav was going to immediately get taken down. And it just flips the point. And Houston Inlaws are able to, bring up a no-you card and win that fight.
Really impressive. Although, to be honest, this TP on the high ground, it doesn't give them a huge positional advantage. Usually you want to get behind the team. Sometimes people even take the high ground to the right. Taking the left high ground doesn't seem like a super advantageous position. Looks like the Volume 51 coming out with the stall heroes now, just trying to get to point. Only a second left, and they're not going to be able to touch the point.
Yeah, big job for stopping, Suinshot from able to touch. Suinshot trying to swing their way in there, go on the left side, but there was just so much damage, so much sustain to stop them from getting
There was the Nano High Noon on point, the Electric Cowboy. You can't run face into that.
Oh, that's something I haven't heard, the Electric Cowboy. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah. That's the dangerous one to approach,
3 minutes, though,
Yeah, three minutes for a tick. It's definitely going to be hard for Volume 51 to hold this back. But, we saw it on Li Zhang. They were looking a little bit discoordinated, but they brought it back. It's going to be a really difficult thing to do, but if anyone's going to do it, it could be Volume 51.
Yeah, it's at the point where you can just really just get all of your ultimates over and over and just push the fist right into the enemy, and odds are you're going to get a tick from that fight. So
Definitely. Especially if they just go to stack alts, right? Playing with, High Noon Shatter Bomb, even like a Nano May can do a lot of work. Throw the sound barrier on top of that to make people really strong, and really you're just looking to stack all your ults. I think what's going to win Volume 51, this defense, is if they can manage to stagger out ultimates from the Houston Inlaws. If their ult management is bad, I think Volume 51 might be able to make this a draw.
Yeah, that's such a large amount of time, but Maywell not exactly going to do wonders outside of Muster Man. It's just going to allow Houston Inlaws just get on right in past that first choke point, and they're just going to be all cornered in this one spot. As Kaching is able to be found out by Pinhead. A big charge coming out from Cav, and not exactly going to do wonders as he's just going to be taken out. And right there, it's just really about staggering the rest off at this point.
A really good first fight from Volume 51. Obviously, no ults coming out on that first fight. We are seeing some built, especially the support ults. Both nanos coming online. We're going to be seeing the tank ults coming up relatively soon for Volume 51. Again, I think with correct ult management, this is winnable for them. Or drawable, I should say.
Bunch of dueling Maywells there. As Suinshot's going to get frozen and be taken out, but Ezekiel's just going to be immediately countered with that High Noon. And the High Noon's not...
We see the Electric Cowboy again.
Oh, exactly. Are we going to see the Electric Hammer, though? As Cav finds Musterman, that's 2 down, so it's a 4v6 trying to contest from a tick. And as Ezekiel's taken out, it seems that right now it's just a game of stall, as Toru, Pinhead, and Nikolai are the only ones left to contest this point.
Yeah, it looks like it's not really winnable for Volume 51 over here. Just Toru and Shuinshot left, and they aren't able to touch, unfortunately. It seems like ults were exchanged but didn't get a lot of value. I mean, we saw the High Noon coming out. I think we definitely saw a Nano. We might have even seen one of the tank ults coming out. But it seemed like the Mei walls were really what determined that fight. We saw Mei walls come up. Ryan got focused off, and you know, when your Ryan drops early, it's going to be a really hard point to hold.
Yeah, it's gonna be a struggle fest, but 1-1 going into halftime. This is definitely a battle for the ages. You know, we're seeing a bunch of these close games. So 1-1 Houston Inlaws versus Volume 51. We'll see you at the end of halftime. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Inlaws versus Volume 51. Now, currently the score is tied to 1-1, and right now it's really been a hell of a show match. You know, we've seen these teams go back and forth at each other. And what strengths have you seen from each team, Vixer?
Well, I mean, Volume 51 did take Lijiang. They seemed to have a pretty strong dive. When they were, you know, uncoordinated and their tanks weren't going in at the same time, it was a little all over the place. But when they cleaned that up, then their dive was actually looking pretty good, which is, I think, why they took Lijiang. On Hanamura, we saw that Houston Inlaws has a really good slower comp. They seem to be running meta pretty well, and so I think Eichenwald first is going to favor Houston Inlaws, but I think Eichenwald second is going to favor Volume 51. So it's really interesting to see what comps they decide to run. I would like to see Volume 51 do some more dive, because I think that is one of their strengths, definitely.
Yeah, a lot of people want to see dive back in the meta. You know,
It would be nice.
I think it was one of the most difficult comps to run and make successful, and I think that's why a lot of people liked it.
For sure, because a lot of the heroes just get a lot more punished for making mistakes, right? Like, in Goats or Double Shield, sometimes you just got value out of picking a certain hero, right? You got value out of Orisa for just being Orisa and having a shield or using her halt, or you got value out of, you know, playing Brig in Goats by winging your mace, right? So dive, it's a lot harder to get value out of heroes just by picking the hero. So I think that's why a lot of people like to see it. I think it requires, now, you know, to play Goats well or to play Double Shield well, like at an owl level, obviously it's going to require, you know, a lot of coordination and very high skill levels, but I think that's generally why people like to see dive.
Just hold left click Omega.
Mace to the face.
Brig jail is real. And
looks like Volume
death,
51
nice.
is running with dive here. I really like to see this. They have the Pharmacy going up top. This is classic, and they're running the Winston Diva as opposed to the Ball against the Mei. I do like what they're running here. Houston Inlaws opting for the Torb.
I love to see that Torb pick, you know, but really with that Fair in the air, that turret's not gonna last too long. So I think that Torb is really not gonna do well against that Pharah, and having that dive, get so much damage in area is just gonna be so deadly, as Unknown is actually taken out along with the turret, and both the healer and the off tank are both gone, and that's really not good for keeping up this fight. Right there, though, Cav is able to find Pinhead, and Mustard Man are taken out, but it's really not going to do anything, as Ezekiel finds Cav, and Torb's going to try their best to go to the point, but
couldn't do much, unfortunately. A Cav did get a couple kills with his pins there, but fortunately it wasn't enough. They came in with the dive. They were a little disjunct at first. They weren't quite on the same target, but once the tanks were on the same target, it was, you know, so difficult for Houston Inlaws to deal with, and Mustard just got so much value on that Pharah. He ended up getting like 3 or 4 kills just by sitting above them, because they were trying so hard to deal with the tanks that were on their supports.
This dive is just really helping as that barrage comes out, and really able to trade, but that res is just gonna be so big as Ezekiel's able to immediately find the main healer on the other team. So you gain and you lose. In terms of how teamwork works, it's not good when you lose somebody and you gain another one on the enemy team. So right now, Volume 51 is just pushing this card as far as they can, really with no contest.
All right, they have the Ana on the cart, so their tanks can stay forward. And Mr. Mustard Man still getting value on the Pharah, just sitting right above them. They do need the Winston. Looks like they're trying to keep this aggressive at the doors so they can just get a bunch of free space with the cart. They might end up losing this fight, but that's actually okay because they've gotten so much free space and they've only invested one ultimate.
It was a really interesting choice. You know, we did see the Primal Rage online for Suin shot, but they're able to save that as Toru. Very unfortunate. Cav a very aggressive Shatter, and he's just gonna send a bunch of Volume 51 back in the spawn.
Really, really aggressive plays by Cav there. You know, was the shattering the spawn necessary? Probably not. But he did end up getting, you know, a decent stagger, which is going to get them a bit more time. And, you know, hopefully he can charge it by the time they come back. And really, against Dive, who are you looking to shatter? Big Boop on the high noon. That one, did you see that? That was the highest
fancy.
noon.
Very fancy. And right now they're just going to, once again, head back to spawn. You know, you've still got these ults on. You got the Grab, you've got the Nano, and you've got the Blizzard. And those are really good ults to keeping them back.
Definitely. We see the Grav, like you said. I think that's going to be the game-winning ultimate here. You know, if they can Grav or Blizzard, the tanks diving their backline. And I think this is still definitely holdable for Houston Inlaws, but Volume 51 does have a lot of their own ults coming up online.
Yeah, but Cav, while able to find this charge kill on Suin shot, immediately going to be rested by Pinhead. That's something that is so valuable, having that Mercy out. And a bunch of ults coming out. Kaching is going to claim Mercy Man, but Suin shot finds two with the Primal Rage. He's got such deadly fists as that Nikolai is going to claim Nona, but somehow Suin shot's going to be booped off by Unknowna. It's, I don't know exactly how that happened, but it gives a little bit of ult charge for Unknowna.
Very true, very true. Well, I mean, we saw Houston Inlaws coming in with a bunch of ultimates there, and they weren't able to hold it, unfortunately. I think they didn't really have plans with their ultimates. I think they just kind of threw them out, and, you know, we're hoping for the best, and unfortunately it didn't work out for them. Coming back into this fight, they're not looking much better.
Yeah, and that Mercy is just in the backline surviving, even though Cav is trying their best to get that solo swing, take down Pinhead, but so much support coming from Volume 51, it's really not going to happen.
Kills are coming through, though. Unknown A with a boop off the map on the Mei, and I Love Mom managing to take out the Mercy. Really could be anyone's fight. It looks like Inlaws are actually bringing this back.
Yeah, having your spawn is somewhat closer on this point. You know, you only gotta go a little bit. So having those high mobility heroes such as Tracer, you're able to get back instantly, and it's just such an advantage at that point.
Very true, very true. Looks like they are switching up the support line, though. Now running the Baptiste and the Lucio. So they're, of course, resetting the ultimates, but they do have Shatter online. Soon coming up on the Mei ult. Volume 51 having next to nothing online. They're only 50% to 2 ults.
And the Shatter is going to come out, and while it's really not going to exactly connect, it's really going to be able to find kills for Inlaws. And without about a minute left, and really no ults online, it's going to be a bit of a struggle fest in this last 60 seconds.
Definitely, definitely. Well, see, Volume 51, they're favored in the dive. They were doing really well in the dive, but, you know, Inlaws managed to start bringing it back, and they thought, hey, let's swap meta, and I just don't think it's one of their strengths.
Definitely not. And oh, sneaky charge from Cav, able to find the Mei. And immediately, Volume 51's going to have to back up with only 30 seconds left. And killing that Mei actually makes it so that your ult charge is going to be so much slower than the enemy's one. And able to find Suin shot. And the more kills that Inlaws get here, the more staggered they'll be able to be.
Yeah, they didn't back up there. They lost their Mei. They opted not to back up. And while we're seeing them suffer for it, there's only 13 seconds left on the clock. I don't think they'll be able to touch. Mei's the only one coming back here. I don't think it's doable, but Ball might barely be able to touch it.
We'll see. Yes, and just a bit, but there's going to be so many people frozen on the point, it's really not even going to be a contest.
Yeah, Houston Inlaws just has so many ults built up. It's really not contestable by Volume 51. They definitely should have backed up when they lost their May. They still had 40 seconds on the clock. They could have backed up and recontested, but they opted to stay there, and unfortunately, I think they lost because of it. I want to see them doing more dive. I think dive is definitely one of their strengths. I don't think they should be so ready to switch off to meta so fast.
Yeah, but seems that right there, Inlaws got to push it about, essentially to the second point. I mean, what, 125 meters? They're about 2 meters away from taking that second point. And it's, you definitely talked about how this first point is going to be advantageous for Inlaws, and it's something they really need to take quickly, having so much time to push it to the second point.
Definitely. I think this is definitely doable for them. It looks like, though, Volume 51 opting for the Pharah again. The Pharah worked out well for them before, although they're running Ezekiel on the Pharah now, and instead Mustard on the Hanzo. We haven't seen any Hanzo today. Playing with the Dragon Hold combo, it is doable. They're deciding to run Orisa. We haven't seen anyone play Orisa today. What do you think about this Orisa versus Rein Zarya matchup?
Ban Orisa. I don't like her. I don't like her.
Very strongly opinionated.
As someone who
Not a fan of the horse, eh?
As someone who had to play the horse during the Sigma Shield days, I do not like the horse immensely. But see how Suinshot actually does on said horse. It's right there. That Maywall from Momfist is just going to be able to give Inlaws just so much space to get onto the point. And with that Reinhardt, Cav's going to try to get a charge kill. Ooh's going to take that Pharah out of the sky. And Mercy's just not going to be able to res. As Ezekiel's taken out. And Mercy is going to try to get the res, but she's not going to survive for much longer. Hopefully for the point of the Inlaws. And like you said, Inlaws are just going to take this so quickly.
Yeah, they ran it down mid. They just wiped them. Unfortunately, Mustard couldn't get as much value because, well, I mean, they only really got value before because the tanks were in the backline on the supports, causing so much distraction, causing so much havoc. You get so much more value out of the Pharah, but when you're running these slow comps, and they're off the Orisa now, but when you're running, something as slow as Orisa, there isn't much pressure on your backline, so they can deal with the Pharmacy. They're free to deal with that because Orisa doesn't apply that much frontline pressure.
I'm sorry, Cav? What? How is he able to find a kill there? This is the most...
It's the Electric Cowboy. It's too strong.
And he's still alive and finding kills. What?
Ooh, coming in with the 4K, it looks like. Really impressive plays.
How do you let that happen?
I think Volume 51 was running high ground. I don't think they expected the High Noon Nano to be coming out from there. And I mean, as soon as it happened, he got booped, which actually, I think it gave him a better angle on someone, which I think is how he took out the Pharah originally.
And they're going to have essentially 5 minutes to go, this little sliver of time, and this Blizzard is just really going to give them so much to work with, as Mustard Man is going to get close to freezing, but none, as a D.Va, an Ana, and a McCree are the only things keeping Volume 51 in this map. And it's really not going to do much.
Ooh, coming in again with 3 more kills right at the end there. We're seeing a lot coming out from this guy. I mean, on Hanamura, we saw him on the Tracer. He was pressuring the supports. He got so much value. We're seeing him on the McCree now. He's pressuring the front line and getting so much value. The Electric Cowboy is just too strong when you have a McCree as good as Ooh.
You literally had Cav charge up, get stunned. He should have immediately died. He didn't. I don't know actually if he did. But we did see Ooh find a High Noon when he had almost the entirety of Volume 51 around him. Like, what?
Well, I mean, that's one of the risks of playing. I think it was the Pharah he caught first, or maybe it was the Mercy. But I mean, that's one of the risks of playing like an airborne comp against a McCree is really the High Noon, right? You can, if you play around corners, you can sustain against like the shots, but if he has the High Noon, especially with the Nano, the Deadeye charge is so fast. You got to be careful of those things. He managed to get some kills early, and I mean, they kind of just rolled through second by alternating their ults.
Yeah, that's a very decisive win in that map for the Houston Inlaws. So you need to make a strong showing in this last map if you're volume 51. So, you've won your first map, but you need to win more than that to actually win a match.
Definitely. And, well, like I said, I think Houston Inlaws are favored on the meta mirror. It seems like every time they're playing the meta mirror, except for, I think, on Legion Control, when Volume 51 was running the Doomfist, as soon as the Doomfist, figured out the timing for his engages, they were starting to find a lot more value at that. But I think when they're running these meta mirror matches, it's really just so much in favor of the Houston Inlaws. We need to see some faster, more decisive comps from Volume 51. I don't think they're favored in this meta matchup.
Yeah, it's really not working, and they need to make this map theirs. As it seems that we're gonna go to Havana. We've seen Havana so much especially in these Transcendence tier maps. I don't know how many games I've casted that have gone to Havana on Escort. I want to see another Escort map, please, Tranquility.
I mean, maybe we'll see some new maps eventually. Of course, Rialto, I think, is one of the best maps in the game. Dorado's another good one. You can see a bunch of variety of different comps on that one because you have the high ground second point. You have, the really close choke on first point. So it would be interesting to see some other Escort maps. But, I mean, Havana, are they likely to run meta? Yes. Could we be seeing something different? We could, especially I think going into second and third point.
I mean, third point. Widow. I mean, not just Widow, just snipers in general on third point are just so strong, and having the presence of shields is so important that it's like Havana third point could be its own map, but it's a map I hate, and I wish it didn't exist. Havana third point is stupid, and I think a lot of people agree with me.
Yeah, well, I think in general, pushing the very last point, like right at the end stretch there on a lot of payload maps is really not everyone's favorite position. I mean, you think of Junkertown third, you think of like Dorado, that last little around the bend. I mean, your spawns are further. It's harder to push. It's almost like you're playing 2 CP when you're at the very end of that, very end of the Escort maps.
Yeah, but Havana's long sightline is just crazy, especially like I mentioned, the snipers. Arissa's pretty strong on Havana third point because she's just able to throw her freaking LMG essentially of a weapon down just this long stretch.
Very true.
But I mean, Havana it's sometimes even hard to get to that third point. I mean, second point is a struggle because you've got these alternating platforms. You've got multiple sight lines. You got next to the beer tanks. You've got the point where you can like freaking jump down. There's that arch. I don't even know what they're called, but it's just Havana's a wacky map.
Definitely. So we're seeing once again the meta matchup. Although we're seeing blocking the legs.
Yes!
I'm really interested to see how this goes. They're holding really early here. This can be a very decisive fight.
Yeah, we see this a lot on Havana. Teams really hold very, very close so that if they do lose, they have time to, counteract immediately. And it's time like these that it works out so well, and you're taking off so much time, and the enemy team doesn't even have time to push the payload a meter. We saw like 1.42 meters in the span of 30 seconds. And right now, Ooze is just getting close to that tactical visor. No many more ults coming online. It's just, this plan is just working very well for them. Right there, Suin shot, gonna find the charge on Kaching, and Cav gonna be antied so low, and I think this is definitely the time to back off, as Unknona is just gonna be shattered, and Pika gonna be throwing out the nano. That's an ult you're gonna want back. You're losing that fight. It's definitely a questionable ult choice.
Especially when you have Tac Visor coming up online, it's really interesting. You could have Nano Visored, but maybe it was a last-ditch effort to get some more time. They're not switching off the Ana, which we might have seen. But yeah, we are going to see Tac Visor coming out this fight. Really interested to see how they use it, and if Nikolai can shut him down on the D.Va. It's pretty much the D.Va's job to deal with this, and I'm interested to see if he can do it.
Yeah, Pinhead does not have that beat drop. As Ezekiel's going to bring out that high noon, but that Maywall is just going to immediately stop that. And is he going to be able to find anything? He is not. As we're seeing, actually, Cav going to be in that backline trying to get as much as they can just to get that shatter. As he's just charging on in, they've been crazy with the shatters. As Cav brings that out right out. Here comes the visor. Able to find Pinhead. Able to find Suin Shot. Pika does, but that Diva is just going to be able to block so much. But it seems that the ults were on Houston Inlaws' side of that fight.
And the stagger coming in on Nikolai. They've got him slept now, and Ooh is in fact doing push-ups on his body. They're going to keep this Diva staggered as long as they can to hopefully get more time off of the clock. The freeze is coming through, and this is just a brutal stagger. They're coming in Volume 51, fighting a 5v6 now. But they do have the Mei ults.
Yeah, a bunch of blizzards coming at Suin Shot, going to try to get the charge kill. He's going to be immediately stopped. That's very unfortunate for them. As right now, Volume 51 still has to cap that first point. They got about a minute 20, and all they've got is the shatter and the beat drop to work with.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of ults come out here, but I mean, I think Ooh, even though he's, on the soldier, he's getting a lot of value. He's pumping in a lot of damage, and I don't think there's enough contesting for him. His supports are keeping him up, and he's just getting so much value.
Yeah, a first point hold would be absolutely massive for Houston Inlaws. Definitely making a point, but the shatter from Suin Shot going to be swiftly blocked by Cav, and Cav's going to find Ezekiel just to counter the beat drop by Pinhead to stop something as Ezekiel finds Pika. And the grab gonna be able to find 3, but there's just no follow-up. And the tactical visor are gonna want to find something. Who finds Ezekiel? Nona finds Suin Shot. And this is definitely the track to just taking this point back. And as Muster Man is taken out, only the Diva remains. This is looking very strong for Houston Inlaws.
Looks like they're going to be staggering the Diva again. She's out of suit, and this is actually really big. With only 16 seconds left on the clock, they're almost forced into a 5v6, although Volume 51 did get a key pick onto Kaching.
Yeah, that gives them a lot of time to just push forward, and here comes the High Noon. They definitely want to find something, but the Ana is taken out, and the High Noon not going to be able to find anything. Here comes the Blizzard from Mom, and as the Rhine is taken out, seems that you still have somebody contest the payload, but the Blizzard's gotta be big for Volume 51. And right now, as the kills are looking to be on the Houston Inlaws side, you need something as only the Diva remains to contest the payload. Right there, as Nikolai is gonna get solo grabbed. Not even a first point take for Volume 51. That's definitely not the push you were looking for to take this game back.
Definitely not. Incredible hold, though, by the Houston Inlaws. I don't know. I don't know if it's just the unfortunate loss on Eichenwald, but I think something is getting to Volume 51 here. It seems to be there's some miscommunications here and there. I don't know if you noticed, but when they were going for 2 different shatters, their own Mei blocked their shatter. It happened on 2 different occasions, and it didn't lose them the fight necessarily, because they might have been blocked by other things, or they did catch out one person but didn't catch out 2. But those Mei walls coming up in front of the shatter tells me that there's a little bit of miscommunication there happening on the side of Volume 51 now. And like I said, it might be because of the loss that they had on Eichenwald, or it could just be that not everyone is in the right mindset today. But if they can, clear up these comms and manage their ults well, I think that, this is definitely holdable. I mean, Havana, it's known for people holding really close to the door. This could be a really close hold for Volume 51. It's possible.
Yeah, it'd be very big to hold Houston Inlaws to a first point. I mean, to take this to a map 5, we've seen a lot of map 5s. And to bring it there again would be very big for Volume 51 after such a decisive loss last week. But here we are, we're going to start coming out, and we are going to see this short hold a little bit interesting, as they're going to be holding on a very different side. But a charge from Cav, we've seen these really ballsy charges come on so often, but Ezekiel finds I Love Mom, and right there, Volume 51 is just stuck really in Houston Inlaws' spawn. Are they attacking? I can't tell. But right now they're switching again. These rotates from from Houston Inlaws are just very, very clean, as it's just swiftly destroyed. That defense is just so swiftly destroyed by Houston Inlaws.
So one of the advantages, of course, of holding really close to the Havana spawn is you get to take one or two more fights before, it hits the end of the first point, which is obviously what Volume 51 is looking to do here. So they're going to still have another fight, maybe even two to contest. Although neither team has any ults coming up online. It's going to be a neutral fight. I'm interested to see how this goes down.
And that's something that it absolutely cannot happen. Cav, that's your Reinhardt taken out when you've got so little to work with. And your Brigida's taken out. This looks like this is just going to swiftly go into Houston Inlaws' direction with so much time in their hand. Something big's got to happen here. Ooh, does take out Nikolai. And Shatter is plowed out. And right there, Houston Inlaws with only one remaining. They should take this to the end, and barring an absolute massive charge from Suinshot. And there it is. We are seeing the Houston Inlaws take this match 3-1.
Really well done by the Houston Inlaws. They showed some really tight-knit performance there. There were a few times where they seemed kind of all over the place, but there were a lot of chaotic fights, but I mean, they managed to pull it together, and they definitely took advantage of the fact that Volume 51 isn't as coordinated on this meta comp. They were struggling against their dive, but luckily they, decided to take it off the dive and keep going meta, and Houston Inlaws, they bunkered up, communicated well, and managed to take the series.
Yeah, definitely looked a lot more in the Houston Inlaws direction as time went on. But definitely something to not look down on, Volume 51. You did take your first Tranquility map, so we're not seeing any 40-0 no map wins, or 0-40, excuse me.
True. Not pulling a Shanghai Dragons.
Oh yeah,
Season 1.
but you are 0-2, Volume 51, but this stage is not over yet. You got time to bounce back, and the time is next week. But for Houston Inlaws, you got that 2-0 victory, two 3-1s. So maybe a little bit of consistency on their end, but definitely looking good for them. Is there anything you want to talk about before we kind of sign off a little bit?
Yeah, well, I think there are certain things that both teams have to work on. Like I said, Volume 51, it seems that there's a bit of miscommunication for certain things, but their dive was looking really good. I mean, with Mr. Mustard Man on the Pharah and, their dive hitting the backline, Houston Inlaws just didn't know what to do about it. One of the Houston Inlaws' faults is, obviously, we saw a lot of Cavs charges. Sometimes questionable. He would often charge in, get antied, and die. It was a repeat. Now, here's the thing, though, is that when his team followed up, when they were rushing in with him, he had Ooh on the McCree helping him out, or even on the Soldier we saw in Havana. When he had the bubbles from Unknown A, he was able to actually get into their backline and do work, which is kind of crazy to say, but I mean, that's taking, advantage of one of the faults of Volume 51. So, working on these, if they want to go really aggressive with the Ryan charges, I think it's doable. I think it's risky plays. But yeah, I think definitely one of Houston Inlaws' weaknesses is when they get distracted and playing around like a strong Pharmercy dive. I think if any other team really comes up with a similar comp and is running that, I think they're definitely going to struggle. But in these mirror meta matchups, they seem to be pretty clean.
Yeah, definitely well said. Well, that is going to be it for us tonight. Houston Inlaws take the victory over Volume 51, 3-1. I am Lightrose. You can find me on Twitch at Lightrose and on Twitter at Lightrose17. Vexter, anything you want to plug?
I'm Vexter474. You can find me on Twitch or on Discord, whatever. It's on the same name, twitch.tv/Vexter474. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. First time casting, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I want to thank Cavalier, our wonderful producer and commissioner, as always, does wonderful work. And talking about what's happening next week, we got the Iris podcast on Monday, as always. Wonderful guys. And then on Tuesday, we've got Jetpack Cats versus Flashbacks. On Thursday, we've got Alt F4 versus Eclipse and Second Chance versus Pogfish. On Friday, you definitely want to tune into those. Those are going to be some great games. Well, that is going to be it for us. We hope to see you next time. Goodbye.